Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And this is the JOMO Show. The mic doesn't seem to be outputting. You are listening to the JOMO Show as microphone 2 decided to take a break today, and we go to microphone 3. Giovanni Mosheri here for the JOMO Show, your home for Oakland sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. WXOU, Auburn Hills, Michigan, Oakland University, and your station ID is now covered. So, I am your host, Giovanni Mosheri, and the JOMO Show, your home for Oakland sports and beyond. Today, we got a whole lot of baseball, both of the Oakland University Golden Grizzlies variety and the USPBL variety. So we got NCAA and minor league baseball we'll be talking about today. We will give a little bit of attention to the NBA playoffs towards the end of the show today, but we got to get to the baseball first. But before we get into any of them, we got some items to check off the list before we get started. Don't forget to subscribe to the JOMO Show right here on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. The JOMO Show will also be recorded and uploaded to YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts in a nice, cleaner, podcast-friendly version. So there is no way to miss the JOMO Show. Whether you're with me right now on YouTube, or whether you're not with me right now on YouTube, or on the TuneIn Radio app where you're listening to WXOU, either way, there's no way to miss the JOMO Show. You can also follow WXOU on social media. They got Instagram, they got Twitter, they got TikTok. All MAB award winning. So be sure to give them a follow as well. You can find all that information on their website at WXOU.org. In addition to that, I got some social media as well. The JOMO Show has its own dedicated Instagram page that you can go and like and follow at the GioMo Show. You can also find me on Twitter at GioMoSherry WXOU for all updates on the show and beyond. You got to get to know me a little bit. Use the hashtag the GioMo Show to get involved with the show and kind of get the buzz going around that. In addition to that, if you need something fun to do this summer with your friends, then escape rooms are an incredible way to spend time with those friends, family, and loved ones. Escapology is a escape room franchise with a location in Mount Clemens. They have escape rooms such as Scooby-Doo, Murder on the Orient Express, The Code, and Under Pressure. www.escapology.com has all the information you need to escape with your friends. Again, that's www.escapology.com. Escapology is located at 82 Macomb Place in Mount Clemens, where time is of the essence. So to go down the agenda once again for the show today, we're going to start off with Oakland baseball, and then we'll get into a little preview of the Horizon League tournament that's going to be coming up soon, as Oakland has secured a third seed after completing their final series with Purdue Fort Wayne last weekend. We'll also, at the very end of the show, keeping with Oakland baseball, we'll be looking at the Horizon League All-Season Awards as they will be announced at 1 o'clock sharp, and we'll stay on air to get the reaction to that as well. And does Brendan Heidel get Player of the Year as Banfield, head coach Jordan Banfield claims that he is worthy of such? Not that I'm disagreeing, I'm just saying he claims that. In addition to that, later, USPBL and then the NBA playoffs. So, enough dilly-dallying. Let's get into Oakland baseball. So, before we get into any of the games that came up this weekend, we do have at least a little bit of a teaser of the All-League honors. Ian Cleary and John Lowinger were named to the All-Academic team for the Horizon League, giving two Golden Grizzlies the honors for that. In addition, Brandon Heidel, like I said, candidate for Player of the Year, comes into the Horizon League tournament with a Batter of the Week honor after he tallied 7 hits out of his 15 at-bats with a .467 batting average. This past week, when the Golden Grizzlies went 3-1, that is including the Central Michigan game that was last Tuesday and the 3 games against Purdue Fort Wayne. He grabbed 5 hits and 11 at-bats with 6 RBIs in the series against Purdue Fort Wayne and added a home run, 2 walks, 3 hit-by-pitches, and a stolen base for the week as well. So totaling a .467 batting average, 5 runs, and 6 RBIs this past week for Brandon Heidel. And if you want to learn more about Brandon Heidel, he's got a fantastic story out via the Through the Eyes series of stories of the Golden Grizzlies and Oakland Athletics releases, giving him his first-person perspective on his career, coming from California, being with the program for 4 years now. No transfer portal, no nothing. You get to learn all about that through his eyes in a story titled Grizzly for Life. I had a hand in crafting that story with Brandon Heidel. Got to talk to him in order for that story. So it's a fantastic one, and I recommend you guys give it a read, especially getting ready for this Horizon League tournament, as this is also Heidel's last season as a Golden Grizzly. And then finally, totaling in this season, 31 wins for the Golden Grizzlies in their overall category. 18 conference wins included, one of the highest in program history. I don't have an official declaration as to whether that is the program record for wins, but if not, then it sure is close. But either way, a historic season for the Golden Grizzlies with 31 wins. So then finally, let's get into the games that were this week. They played Tuesday at 3:30 against Central Michigan. This was May 14th. 1 week ago today, against the Chippewas. A 9-6 was the winning score for the Golden Grizzlies, taking now 2 off of the Chippewas in the out-of-conference play. So they got 2 against Eastern and 2 against CMU this season as far as their MAC competition goes. I'm not speaking for all the MAC teams that they played. It's just those were the ones that came to mind, at least for in-state, out-of-conference sweeps. For the mouthful of that sentence. And then in the weekend series against Purdue Fort Wayne, 2-1 series win is what the Golden Grizzlies had, and it came close to being a sweep. When we get into Game 2, we'll tell you all about that. But for now, let's get into the details of that Central Michigan game. It was a game that was throwing punches back and forth. Punches of the 3 runs in a single inning variety. As Oakland in the bottom of the first got their first 3 runs, Central Michigan immediately followed it up with 3 runs themselves in the top of the second. Bottom of the third, Oakland gets another 3 runs to go up now 6-3 after 3. Central Michigan would find themselves with 2 runs in the 5th, and Oakland a third 3-run punch in the bottom of the 6th to give them 9 runs, 9-5 after the 6th inning. Central Michigan would get 1 more run in the 8th, but it would not be enough to defeat the Golden Grizzlies as they come out with a 9-6 win over the Chippewas. Looking at the batting stats here, Lucas Day, 1 of 4 with a run and an RBI, and 2 RBIs rather, as he was walked and left on base twice. Ian Cleary, 2 of 4 with a run and 4 RBIs against the Chippewas. And then Trent Rice, 1 of 3, RBI and a run. He was walked once, left on base 4 times. So that gives us that Tuesday win for the Golden Grizzlies, that being their 29th of the season. Now we get into the final weekend series against Purdue Fort Wayne, where Oakland was battling, trying to give themselves a chance at the number 2 seed that Northern Kentucky occupied. Meanwhile, Northern Kentucky was battling Wright State to try and hop up to Wright State's number 1 spot. But for Oakland, they started off strong in Game 1. This was on Friday. Was it? It was on Thursday, rather. Thursday was Game 1 against Purdue Fort Wayne. Oakland coming out strong in the top of the first with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 runs to start things off to give themselves a 4-0 lead. Heidel hit a single to right field for 2 RBIs that brought home Brandon Nye and Reggie Bussey. And then Lowinger followed it up with a single up the middle for another 2 RBIs, bringing back Lucas Day and Heidel to give them those 4 runs. Later in the 4th inning, Oakland would go up then 8-2 with 3 runs off the single bat of Brandon Heidel. That being the home run that he snatched for this week, helping him get batter of the week honors. A 3-run shot in the 4th inning gave Oakland that 8-2 lead. Teams would then later exchange runs in the 7th inning, exchanging 2 apiece, making the score then 10-5. And then in the bottom of the 9th, Purdue Fort Wayne put us in a scare. Purdue Fort Wayne almost came back from down 5 with 2 innings to go, but they came up just 1 run short. The final score 10-9. Golden Grizzlies survived the comeback to get Game 1 against Purdue Fort Wayne. In that game, Reggie Bussey was 1 of 3 with 2 runs. Brandon Nye, 2 of 5 with a run. And then Heidel, 3 of 4 with 2 runs and 5 RBIs. Remember, 3-shot home run in the 4th inning for Heidel. That brings us then to Friday's Game 2 against Purdue Fort Wayne. Oakland came out strong again in the top of the first. Not as strong as the 4 runs in the previous game, but they started off with 2 runs in the top of the first, with Ian Cleary hitting a 2-run home run in the first inning to get things started for Oakland. Purdue Fort Wayne would then find themselves with the lead themselves in the 3rd inning to go up then 3-2. Oakland would later tie the game in the 6th inning with a balk to bring it to a 3-3 score after the 6th inning, and then the game would go into extra innings. It would stay at 3-3, and through that, Purdue Fort Wayne able to shut out Oakland in their share of the 10th inning and getting the single run needed to take the win themselves. Purdue Fort Wayne steals away Game 2 in extra innings 4-3, creating a rubber match on Saturday, the final game of the regular season for the Golden Grizzlies. Would they take the series, and would they solidify themselves as the number 3 seed in the league? Well, they would do all they can to do just that. Starting off strong again at the top of the first inning, 3 runs for the Golden Grizzlies to start things off. Ian Cleary single to right field to bring home Reggie Bussey. John Lowinger would then single through the left side, then with 2 RBIs off of that bat. But Purdue Fort Wayne got the lead themselves with 4 runs in the 2nd inning to then make the game 4-3, giving them the lead after the 2nd inning. And then teams would exchange a single run each in the 3rd inning, and then Purdue Fort Wayne would add on another in the 4th. That giving them a 6-4 lead. But then Oakland came back in the 6th inning to chain together 3 runs to make the game 7-6. Purdue Fort Wayne would see another run in the 7th, and Oakland in the 8th and the 9th, single run each to get them the lead, and then the game. Oakland would win it with a final score of 9-7 over Purdue Fort Wayne, taking the series 2-1. In total, the Golden Grizzlies hit the ball 10 times against Purdue Fort Wayne in all 3 games. Game 1 totaling 11 hits. Then Game 2, 10 hits. Then Game 3, 14 hits for a total of 35 hits in 3 games for the Golden Grizzlies. Got the bats going at the right time heading into the Horizon League tournament. In the Horizon League tournament, now we'll get to the section where we give it a preview. We give you a sense of what's going to be going on as the teams will play tomorrow to start things off in Dayton, Ohio, where the Horizon League tournament has seen itself there routinely the past few years, as Wright State has been earning the top seed spot, thus the right to host for many years in a row. So for the final standings, to kind of set the stage for this tournament, Wright State, first place with a 20-10 conference record. Northern Kentucky just 1 game shy. 19-11 is their conference record. Then we find Oakland in 3rd, 18-12. Milwaukee in 4th, 13-17. Fort Wayne 11-19, and Youngstown State 9-21 in regular season conference play. So that will set up Oakland in the opening games of the tournament. The 3 seed against the 6 seed as they face Youngstown State tomorrow at 3 p.m. at Wright State. And kind of give you guys a scouting report, not so much a scouting report, but more of a reminder of the results from earlier this season. In Rochester, Oakland hosting Youngstown State on March 22nd through the 24th. On that weekend, Oakland went 2-1 against the Penguins, where the first game was a tough defensive loss, 3-2. Youngstown State took the first game, and then Oakland said enough of this. Oakland said, we'll give you an early day off in both Game 2 and Game 3, as they ended them both in 7 innings. 14-1 in Game 2, 13-3 in Game 3, to really lay it down against the Penguins to finish off that series in Rochester. However, it would be not the same story when they went to Youngstown later on April 26th through the 28th. In Youngstown, Oakland dropped the first two games. 4-10, Youngstown State took game 1. 6-7, Youngstown State took game 2, but then Oakland turned things around 11-2 to take the win in game 3, but already knowing they lost the series. So when you look at the record, 3-3, Oakland has over Youngstown State, or you could say Youngstown State has over Oakland, as they are tied in the season series. But when we talked to Jordan Banfield, we as in, I guess, I'm counting myself into Oakland University as a whole, but Patty Cesarini had to sit down with Jordan Banfield just before the tournament, talking to the coach about this season and about going into the tournament. Patty asked about kind of what's the scouting report, what's the game plan going into the game against Youngstown State. And given that Youngstown State is a 6th seed, they haven't even won 10 games in conference, all Banfield had to say was, we just have to play good ball. Is that we just have to do our version of good baseball, and that would be enough against Youngstown State. And obviously he wasn't going to get into specifics as to the game, but when you look at what a good game looks like for Oakland against Youngstown State, it looks like a combined, I'm not going to do mental math here with the scores, but like I said, in the wins against Youngstown State, 14-1, 13-3, and 11-2. So if that's what playing good looks like for Oakland, this should be fine. And that should be enough of a game plan for that. And then, I shouldn't do this, but looking ahead, if Oakland wins against Youngstown State, they will then move on to the 2nd seed facing Northern Kentucky. That one was not the same hot and cold, I would say, for Oakland in their season series against the North. So we'll go and take a look at those games so far. So in the season, early on in their first Horizon League series, March 15th through the 17th, Oakland did get swept in Northern Kentucky. They lost the first game 18-8, 6-2, and then 7-6 in extra innings to start off the season. But then when Northern Kentucky returned to Rochester, they took the first game 24-3. It was not fun. It was not pretty to look at. But Oakland turned it around by winning the next two games 7-3 and 10-9 in extra innings to give them a 2-4 season record against Northern Kentucky. So definitely a tough matchup, I'm not going to lie. Northern Kentucky has a fantastic team this year. As we kind of noticed, given the rosters of the top 3 teams, Wright State and Oakland significantly younger than they were last year, but Northern Kentucky up there in age and experience, able to take advantage and take a leap up from last year, where they were the 3rd seed and Oakland was the 2nd seed. So Northern Kentucky's a tough matchup for Oakland, and they've proven to be able to give the same treatment to us as we do Youngstown State in terms of when and how they beat us. So it's going to be tough, but Oakland absolutely is no slouch in this tournament. They come into, it's the 3rd seed. Listen, only the top 2 seeds could get a bye. So one of Wright State, Northern Kentucky, and Oakland has to play in that first round. And, kind of taking turns between us and Northern Kentucky. But I would not put past another return to the championship game for Oakland. I would not put past a championship for Oakland this year. And especially with a little bit of momentum coming into it from the Fort Wayne series, there's a shot here. There is absolutely a shot for Oakland. But in addition to that, now I'm looking back in the schedule here. They come into the tournament sweeping Milwaukee, beating Central, and 2-1 against Purdue Fort Wayne. So when you look at it, we'll count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 out of their past 7 games have been victories. So that's a pretty good hot streak to get into the tournament with. So Here's to the Golden Grizzlies as they play tomorrow at 3:30 against Youngstown State. And then here's to their hopeful and future matchup against Northern Kentucky in the second round. So that has been your weekend wrap-up, or your week wrap-up, rather, for the Golden Grizzlies baseball team. Going 3-1 in this week. We talked about Heidel Batter of the Week. We talked about Cleary and Lowinger, all-academic team. We talked about 31 program wins and a heads-up for the whole tournament. We'll be coming back to this topic at 1 o'clock when the Horizon League releases the all-season honors, the all-league honors. That being pitcher of the year, batter of the year, defensive player, like all that kind of stuff. First team, second team, all that stuff comes out at 1 o'clock. So we'll stay on air here to talk about that and to see it live with our very eyes. And with you, your very ears. So next, we'll be getting into the first week of USPBL play at Jimmy John's Field. For those watching on YouTube, you have been noticing I have been wearing my Hoppers jersey the entire show. So for those listening on WXOU, you can't get the visual here. I'm rocking orange and green right now here in the studio, getting ready and getting excited for Jimmy John's Field play this year. So when we come back, we'll be talking all about that first weekend and about where each team stands after those first 4 games of play. But before that, I got to tell you about Friday Night Groove here on WXOU, Fridays at 8 p.m. Listen to Friday Night Groove right here on WXOU. Hosted by DJ RBJ. Since 2011, Friday Night Groove is your home for the best soul, jazz, electronic, indie, and alternative music here at the station. RBJ has interviews with the artists he features, as well as having one of the best radio voices in the game. You can go to FridayNightGroove.com and follow at Trill Gunderson on Instagram for all the latest on the show. For Friday Night Grooves, Fridays at 8 p.m. on WXOU. We'll be right back here with the USPBL. Welcome back here to the GioMoShow right here on WXOU, your home for Oakland sports. Make sure your leftovers are safe as well as delicious. Put them in shallow containers and get them into the refrigerator as soon as possible. Spoiled leftovers can lead to a very serious illness or even worse. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year, and roughly 3,000 will die. But you can keep you and your family safe by chilling your food properly and promptly. Learn more about this and other important information. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov. That's foodsafety.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council. And in addition to that, does your family have a plan in the event of an emergency? Emergencies are almost always unexpected, so many people are caught unprepared when they happen. But you cannot let this happen to you if you take the time to talk to your family about creating an emergency plan. Talk about things like where to meet, who would pick up the kids, and what supplies you should have. Go to ready.gov for more information on getting prepared for any emergency. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Ad Council. Now that I've guaranteed my bosses won't be mad, let's get back to the GioMoShow on WXOU. We just got done talking about in the previous segment Oakland baseball as they finished up their regular season as a third seed and now head into the Horizon League tournament playing Youngstown State tomorrow in the opening round of the tournament. But for now, we talked about that before. You can skip back if you want to hear it, but we got the USPBL to talk about. It's something that I covered. It's a league that I've covered all summer long in the last summer as I am the number one, undisputed, not so heavyweight champion when it comes to Hoppers fans. So I gotta keep up with it. Gotta see what my frogs are up to, as well as mammoths, unicorns, and beavers as well. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about here, the USPBL is the United Shore Professional Baseball League that play over at Jimmy John's Field on the corner of Hall Road and Van Dyke. Near M59, or right on M59, that is, for those local in the Michigan area. So it's all four teams that they play each other throughout the season. They play 4 games a week, one on Friday, two on Saturday, and then one on Sunday as well. So it's a nice local baseball league. I like to cover it. I like to be a fan of things. So the Hoppers are my team for life. So getting into their opening weekend of games, it started off with the Mammoths and Unicorns, followed by a doubleheader on Saturday, or this was Friday they started. Saturday was a doubleheader between my Frogs, my Hoppers, and the Beavers, and then a rematch of Friday's game played on Sunday. Through all of that, each team remains 1-1 throughout the season. Everybody's tied. Everyone's even. Steven. So we'll get into now the first game of the season. It was a reigning champion Westside Woolly Mammoths against the previous I'm getting my timelines mixed up here. Unicorns, to paint the picture for those who aren't familiar, they have won, I believe, 4 of the past 6 championships in the USPBL. Most recently, a three-peat. Not last year, not the one before, but the one even previous was the three-peat Unicorns Championship. So, excuse me, I'm getting wrong. The Westside Woolly Mammoths were the regular season champions. Unicorns were the champions of last year. I got my first seed and the champions mixed up. Either way, we got Mammoths and Unicorns to start things off. This one ended in a 1-1 score. But that does not mean it was a draw. They got sudden death in the USPBL, and to kind of lay out the format there, it's a coin toss that will take place at home plate between the manager of both teams. The home team will call their selection as the umpires flipping the coin. The winner of the coin toss will select whether they want to take the field defensively or bat in the inning. The team at bat will remain the same batting order as the previous inning, with the hitter making the last out placed at first base. If the team scores a run, they win. If there are held scoreless, the victor goes to the team on defense. I'm reading that straight from the website to explain sudden death in the USPBL. And how in that 5th inning, it would be an RBI from Anthony Sharkus. They call him Shark over in the USPBL. Sharkus got the first run of the season, bringing home Joe Cedino. Sharkus would have the only 2 hits for the Mammoths the entire game as he went 2 for 4 against the Unicorns. The Mammoths would hold that 1-0 lead until the Unicorns tied it in the 8th inning, where Sherman Martin III got an RBI to bring back Joe Smith. And Joe Smith went 2 for 4 hitting as well, along with a walk and a stolen base, working for the Unicorns. But the game would go into extra innings, a single extra inning, where they were tied 1-1. The Unicorns were the ones that were able to bring home the runner on first base to get the first win of the season. Was officially written as 1-1, technically 2-1 win for the Unicorns to start off the season. That then brings us into the doubleheader of the Hoppers and the Beavers on Saturday. This series was split between the Hoppers and the Beavers. So game 1 was another low-scoring affair similar to the game we were just talking about. The Beavers were the first ones to score, going up 1-0 in the second inning as Peyton Schubert had a sac fly RBI to bring back Christian Ortega. The Beavers would hold the Hoppers scoreless, while they added another run in the 5th inning to go up then 2-0 over the Hoppers as Christian Ortega, another sac RBI to bring back this time Raymond Hilbrich. Then my Hoppers had a chance to come back into this game. Doubleheaders, by the way, are played in 6 innings, so in the top of the 6th inning, the final inning, the Hoppers were able to get a single run. That happened when Ben Ferguson hit a double. Zeb Moss would then fill in for Ferguson on the base. Jake Shearer would then double again, this time to bring home Roos, the pinch runner. But then, with an opportunity to send this one into a second in a row sudden death ending, potentially, Hughes would strike out swinging, Maddox would strike out swinging, and Valdiver would strike out looking to end the game 2-1 in favor of the Beavers in the first game of that doubleheader. But we don't worry about that because the second game of the doubleheader was all Frogs. Started off with, right away in the top of the first inning, a 2-run home run for the East Side Diamond Hoppers. Matt Gorig would open it up for the first home run of the season, coming off a bat of a Hopper. That would give them a 2-0 lead, and they would extend that lead in the 3rd inning with another single run. With bases loaded, Bryant Shell-Shock Schellenbarger would ground out to second base to bring home Blake Valdiver to get them a 3-0 lead by the time the 3rd inning was complete. The Beavers would then get their only run of the game in the bottom of the 1st inning as Max McLendon would single to bring back Hilbrick from third base, but that's where the scoring would stop. As scoreless in the 6th inning to bring us to a final score of 3-1, my Frogs got it back to even out that doubleheader. And then finally on Sunday, this one was the game that got all the highlights for this week and what awarded 2 Mammoths with weekly honors. We'll get to that after this game here. But in the rematch of Friday's sudden death win for the Unicorns, the Mammoths would take control of the game and never let it go. 5-0 was the final score, and the way we got to there was not only from the bats of the Mammoths, but also from the mound. Trey Jones would get 7 strikeouts in his 5 innings pitched to retire 13 batters before allowing a single base runner allow a single base runner in the 8th inning. In total, the Mammoths would shut out the Unicorns with only 3 hits allowed. So on the mound for the Mammoths, we're doing the job. At the bats, the Mammoths were also doing the job. The 1st inning, once again, Anthony Sharkus would ground out for an RBI to bring back Alex Garbrick. And in the 5th inning, Nick Pastor would single for an RBI to bring back Fox Liam. Fox is such a sweet name, dude. And then in the 6th inning, multiple runs. Jose Cedeno would single to RBI to bring back Nelson. Sharkus would single to bring back 2 Mammoths, Joe Cedeno and Zach Beadle, all totaling to a 5-0 final score to get revenge over the Unicorns and to set everything even after the first week of play in the USPBL. And then with that performance in that Sunday game, the Mammoths were awarded both Pitcher of the Week and Player of the week. Player of the week went to Anthony Sharkis as he was 375 over this week, 500 slugging with 3 RBIs and a 316 WOBA for those who are advanced in the baseball sports, WOBA. Then pitcher of the week went to Trey Jones. Like we mentioned, 7 strikeouts in 5 innings with a .6 whip and no runs allowed. So congratulations to that for the reigning number 1 seed, the reigning regular season champion, Westside Woolly Mammoths. And by the way, Anthony Sharkis, another sweet name, I'm not going to lie. They call him the Shark for obvious reasons. So that right there will wrap up our first week of play in the USPBL. To sum things up, like I mentioned, everything's even. Everybody's 1-1 going into the second weekend of play. Then that second weekend of play, we'll see Friday's game will be the Beavers and the Mammoths. It will be a Peanuts. Oh, excuse me, it won't be a Peanut day. I was thinking Charlie Brown, Snoopy stuff. It will be a peanut-free night, actually, with the fireworks on Friday. That'll be the Beavers and the Mammoths. The Unicorns and the Hoppers will see the doubleheader on Saturday, and then no game scheduled for Sunday. Odd. But either way, that's what we got going on for this next weekend of play. So the Hoppers will be facing the Unicorns twice, and the Mammoths and the Beavers a single time. So that will wrap up, finally, our USPBL segment of the GioMoShow, the first of the year, as everyone ends up even, but the Hoppers get the first home run of the year, which is obviously the coolest part of baseball. So I'd say we won the week. So we will now be right back here on the GioMoShow. We'll take a break before we get into some thoughts, some kind of passing by type of thoughts on the NBA playoffs. As fortunately I haven't been glued to the TV every night to see every game of the playoffs. However, some general thoughts and opinions from what we now have for the conference finals, both in the East and the West. It's been a lot of interesting basketball. It's been a lot of interesting parity. We'll talk all about that in the next segment here on the GioMoShow. And then, remember, at 1 o'clock, we will be live reacting in real time. The second it drops, you'll be hearing me tell you who was the Horizon League Player of the Year, who's on the first team, who's Pitcher of the Year, and all the All-League honors. We'll get to that at 1 o'clock on the GioMoShow before or after the NBA. So we'll be right back. right here on 88.3 FM WXOU, the GioMoShow, your home for Oakland sports and beyond on 88.3 FM. And we have traveled into the beyond part of the sports, and we'll be getting back to Oakland in a moment here at 1 o'clock when they drop the All-League honors. At 1 o'clock, we'll be talking about that. We'll stay a little bit late here on the GioMoShow to get the coverage of that. We just got done talking about the USPBL and their first weekend of action here in 2024, where everybody ended up 1-1, and the Mammoths took home Pitcher and Player of the Week honors. Previously, we talked about the finality of the regular season for the Golden Grizzlies baseball team as they gear up for the Horizon League tournament coming up tomorrow in Wright State. But for now, to try and bring us over to that 1 o'clock release of the All-League honors, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs just a little bit here. Now, I will say this. If you want very, very detailed and extended coverage of the NBA playoffs, I would direct you over to Jake's Takes, a podcast run by local superstar, student manager of the Golden Grizzlies men's basketball team, Jake Masucci. Him and his brother AJ run the Jake's Takes podcast. They just released a huge coverage episode of the NBA playoffs. So if you want that, I would suggest you go there after the GioMoShow here. But we'll see what GioMo thinks about it. We'll see my thoughts on the playoffs so far in more of a general passerby, innocent bystander sense. Because currently, I'm not allowed to enjoy basketball in the state of, or in the Detroit area, because the Pistons have sold the franchise to nobody and have moved the franchise to nowhere. So that's nice. But otherwise, been paying attention a little bit to the playoffs here. So kind of my first thought that comes out is we'll talk about the Game 7s series first. So starting with the Knicks and Pacers. Here's my thing. First of all, Boston's not interesting to me. But Boston, for whatever reason, and I think I know the reason, Boston is not interesting. I don't find their roster interesting personality-wise. I think that the Jays and Drew Holiday, which I guess also counts as a J, because it's spelled J-R-U. And it was spelled with a J, not a D, like you typically would imagine Drew. But either way, all three of the Jays, dude, I mean, they're not media conducive. They don't have to be. They're basketball players. But in terms of me as we'll call it out-of-market potential fan, nothing's drawn me in when it comes to the Celtics. But what is and has really drawn me in as far as the Eastern Conference goes is the Knicks and the Pacers. First, right off the bat, to see new teams in the playoffs, in big stages, is awesome. To see, like, at the very, very simple sense of there's new colors on the court. There's new cities on the court. There's new characters. There's new players. There's new coaches. New things to look at. I find that amazing. I love that. I don't like to see the same team over and over again. I grow to hate perennial winners very, very quickly. That's just the way I've been a sports fan. Patriots, thumbs down. Golden State Warriors, thumbs down. Of course, we look back at history and they're cool and all that, but it gets very boring when you have the same team all the time. That's just the way I see it. It's not wrong to love dynasties. It's not wrong to root for and hope to see dynasties grow to compete with, historically, those of the past. That's an interesting thing in of itself. But to me, I just like new teams. I like seeing fan bases happy. Because, to bring it back to the Pistons, all I could do is be happy for other teams. Isn't that nice? Anyway. But, and especially a fan base like New York. They're insane. I love insane fan bases. To a degree. You know, I find Philadelphia a little bit of a different flavor of what I'm talking about, because with Philadelphia, like, their teams are kind of good and have been, like, pretty good for a little while. Eagles and Sixers, like specifically, I'm not sure about the Flyers or the Phillies, but it, they have a bit of a different flavor of like they seem more mean because like they're a little bit. It's like punching down a little bit. It's not quite exactly true, but when it comes to the insanity of a New York fan base, a New York fan base that has been starving for good basketball for a long time, I love to see them happy. I see videos of Google it. It's stuff's hilarious. Side talk. They do kind of like man on the street type interviews with hordes of insane people, many of which includes New York Knicks fans. And to see starving, insane fans finally have something to root for and to breathe new excitement is just awesome. And the way the Knicks have been playing in the playoffs has been a lot of fun to watch as well. Because Jalen Brunson doing absolutely everything he possibly can for the Knicks. And this extends to the rest of the roster as well because Thibodeau doesn't give him any breaks. It's just the style, I guess. Coach Tom Thibodeau. But to see an honest effort. This sounds boring and soft for sports fans. I understand that, but for me to see players truly give it their all, truly fight through adversity, their adversity being a million injuries, still being feared, respected on the court, is marvelous for me. You don't see that. I'm not saying you don't see this in sports anymore. I'm not doing a good old days type of thing, but you just don't see that a lot in sports, period. Where you see just kind of like honest players, honestly giving effort, loving the fan base, and just like that kind of general sense of positivity to it. Where there's no pettiness with the refs, there's no drama between teammates or coaches, and the players decide whether the head coach gets fired or not. You know what? I'm going to table that topic to get us to that 1:00. I want to talk about coaches being fired unfairly, specifically with the Darvin Ham thing. But we'll kind of keep going with the playoffs here for now. But to see just kind of like a absolute like a total positive attitude and atmosphere around players and teams, I love it. That's what I crave for in sports. You need heroes and villains, I understand, and I guess in that sense you call the Knicks the heroes. But unfortunately the heroes fell to the Pacers in Game 7 in part largely due to injury. And the thing is, I sense Knicks fans and players and coaches are not are disappointed with the result of the season, but happy and content with the effort that they put in. Because that is an example to everybody. When you do everything you can, there's no reason to feel bad. And that's kind of the sense I get with the Knicks. Coaches are happy with they did the best they can. Players are the same. Like not verbatim, not totally at 100%, but there's that sense of it. I like that. And for the Pacers, a team that like also hasn't been good for a while, now getting to Eastern Conference Finals, breathing new life into Indianapolis and that fan base. I saw Pat McAfee weed whack a microphone because they were gardening in the garden. They were whacking weeds in the garden. I love that. I love that clip, by the way. But that's a whole new fan base that gets to be involved in basketball. They haven't been able to in a while. I'm a big fan, relatively, I guess you could say. I got those close to me that hate the Pacers. I don't say why. I see it kind of as a similar story to the Knicks, where it's like, are they gonna go to the NBA Finals? Probably not. Boston's probably gonna get them, but I find them a lot more interesting just for the fact that they're new. It's not like, I mean, Halliburton is, he's good with media. He's got two voices, which is weird, and he's got a decent personality. It's something I could get behind. He's just a cool dude. The Reggie Miller choking sweater, Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it just, I like that. I enjoy watching that. Because, I mean, this sounds so stupid, but in the Eastern Conference Finals, we're going to have a yellow and a green team in the finals. It's not going to be green and red, but mostly black if it's Boston and the Heat. And it's not going to be green and also green with the Bucks and the Celtics. You know, just for the simple. But anyway, thank you, OBS, for just going in and out for no reason. Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves, another team that has new life breathed into it. Starving fan base, now in the conference finals with a superstar in Anthony Edwards. And here's the thing with Edwards. His play on the court speaks for itself. I wouldn't bring him up if his play on the court wasn't any good. So that goes without saying. And I'm not a basketball mind, so I can't analyze all of it. But the way he is with media, his personality, he's got an edge to him, but it's not one that makes you hate him. He backs it up with his play. And he's just a personality that draws you in. He reminds you aesthetically, I'm not talking about career or playing on the court, but aesthetically, he's got a Michael Jordan vibe. Where he's good, he knows he's good, he's going to let you know he's good. He wants the attention and he wants the fight. He wants the challenge. And he's kind of funny too. That kind of personality, it's something the NBA's been dying for a while, and they got it in Minnesota. And now they face the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals. Another team that is interesting. I'm not as much into the Mavericks. Luka's super dope. Kyrie kind of reviving, I don't know if that was correct to say, but for my eyes, reviving a bit of his career a little bit by him and Luka being able to play decently with each other. So to kind of wrap it up, and to give me a few minutes for my last point before we get into Horizon League baseball honors, I'm like the way the conference finals have shaken out, aside from Boston, I'm into it, dude. It's new teams. I like parity. I like seeing. I mean, yeah, Dallas has been in the conference finals like a little bit often lately, but they haven't won it yet. They haven't reached a point where you're sick and tired of seeing them because they keep losing like Boston. It's not like they've been there 5 out of 6 years, been to the finals once, and haven't gotten it done. You know, they're a young team. They still have a window, and they keep banging on the door to get in. That's Dallas. You got completely new cities being able to participate in basketball again in Minnesota and the Pacers in Indianapolis. I love that. I love that for the fans. I love that for the NBA. I don't care about New York market not being able to get there. I don't care about markets. These leagues will make money anyway. They will not lose money significantly because of who is playing and what city they're from. I can't stand that. You get new cities involved. That creates interest around the league. So I'm super dope. I'm super stoked about this upcoming conference finals. But again, if you want more basketball analysis, go to Jake's Takes. They got 100 minutes for you on the NBA playoffs. So one final point before we get to 1 o'clock is, and just kind of, this kind of brought up, or got brought up in my own soliloquy here, but when it comes to the relationship between players and coaches, it has to melt together. I understand that. But I don't like the principle of the fact that it's the players that have the authority and not the coaches. It's the coaches that get fired all the time because the players don't like them. I find that super petty. I don't like the idea that, and I guess this kind of comes from being around college basketball more than the NBA. Again, because the Pistons are no good. But this might be biased from the college perspective, but isn't the coach the one with authority? Isn't it supposed to be the coach that leads the team in scheme, in philosophy, in mentality. Shouldn't that come from the coach? And how is it possible for a coach to get anything done if he has only like 1 year to do it? It takes longer than that to build a relationship with your players, to build a scheme, and to build a culture in order to win games. Why are they the ones that get recycled all the time? How are you, like, think about this. If you're given a year to build a house, or let's a year to build, we'll say a house. Forget the actual timeline's sake. But let's say you're given 1 year to build a house. If you're being rushed, the house is going to suck. But if you give 2, 3 years to really plan out the plot, to get the basement going, to really build the foundation, if you give it that time, it's going to be better quality. Sorry, it's not going to be ready just yet. But you can't build something in a single year like that. You can't gain the respect of your players in just a single year, and you can't get fired just because you yelled at them once. You, as the coach, have authority and leadership of the team. Give it time to grow before you just keep forcing out these dudes all the time. You never let them sink in with the team and the city and the ownership and the players. I can't stand that. Because guess what? When you bring another guy in for another single year, he's also going to fail because you're only giving him 1 year. You can't keep recycling this. It's not like you can't just plug and play with coaches as easily. You gotta give it time. Other sports might be able to do that. But I can't stand, because you know they're just gonna do it again. All this stemming from the Darvin Ham firing, and I get it, it's Los Angeles, the LeBron's there, he's kind of a coach, whatever. But still, it's like, how are you supposed to gain any respect if everyone knows you're going to leave in a year? Because everyone knows you're going to get fired in a year. How can you gain respect like that when those that you're coaching make so much more money than you and know that you're the first to be gone if something goes wrong? I don't like that. I don't like that philosophy. I don't like the theory of it. So that's me spitballing on the NBA here. We talked about the little overview of the NBA playoffs. Talked about just now a little bit of philosophy of coaching. Previously USPBL. Previously Oakland baseball. We're now going to bring it right back to baseball as it is 1 o'clock. We're going to stay here on the GioMoShow for just a little bit to talk about the all-season honors that have just broken on the Horizon League website. And we're scrolling through it right now. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. The 2024 Horizon League Baseball Awards. Liam McFadden-Ackman of Northern Kentucky, Player of the Year. Pitcher of the Year of the Golden Grizzlies, Brandon Decker. Wins it for Oakland. Pitcher of the Year. And let me pull up some of the stats for you because I had some of this prepared. I knew he had a chance at it. But for the pitching, let me get the Control F going. For the individual pitching stats. Come on, website, help me out here. Brandon Decker, number 1 in innings pitched, 102. Second place was 82, by the way. Batter struck out, 104 strikeouts. Second was 78 strikeouts. Strikeouts looking, 28. Wins, 7. That leads, or is tied for first in the Horizon League. Saves, 7. Leads the Horizon League. Sacrifice bunts allowed. I don't think that's a good stat. Anyway, but you're getting Brandon Decker has been the man all season long, and he gets to go into the tournament as the pitcher of the year. 25th in the nation in innings pitched, by the way, for Brandon Decker. Relief pitcher of the year goes to Purdue Fort Wayne's Kevin Fee. Freshman of the year goes to Youngstown State Alejandro Covas. Coach of the Year goes to Dizzy Payton of Northern Kentucky. As well as Alex Sogard of Wright State. The Sportsmanship Award going to Jacob Walker of Purdue Fort Wayne. So those are your big headline awards. Brandon Decker takes home Pitcher of the Year for the Golden Grizzlies. And here's a little note. Both Oakland softball and baseball taking home Pitchers of the Year. Brandon Decker for baseball, Sidney Campbell 3 years in a row for Oakland softball. I think that's freaking sweet. So well done for those awards, but we're not done yet. We got first team, second team, and freshman team to talk about here. First team all-league. Brandon Decker finds himself on the first team when it comes to the pitching spot. Brandon Heidel finds himself as the catcher of the Horizon League second team. Beat out by Sammy Sass in the catcher spot in the first team. Debatably. The freshman team, that's where we find more Golden Grizzlies. They've started a lot of freshmen this year, and that is reflective in the all-freshman team. 4 freshmen find themselves in the Horizon League all-freshman team. Lucas Day, Shane McLinden, Aiden Orr, and Trent Rice. Horizon League freshman team. Trent Rice, by the way, I have to look this back up, but top 5 in the nation in stolen bases. Let's go, while we're in overtime here, let's go in and verify. Because I knew Trent Rice was top of the country in stolen bases for a little while now. Scroll through here. Stolen bases. Trent Rice is 3rd in the nation with 41 stolen bases this year. And as a team, Oakland, just while we're on the subject here, as a team, Oakland tied for 3rd in the nation in stolen bases. As a team, they have 156, and like we mentioned before, Trent Rice responsible for 41 of them. As we continue scrolling down, Reggie Bussey, 16th in the nation in stolen bases, while we're all on the subject. So that concludes our overtime here. Brandon Decker takes home Pitcher of the Year, as well as first team All-League, naturally, and Brandon Heidel, second team All-League catcher. And then Lucas Day, Shane McLinden, Aiden Orr, Trent Rice, all freshman team. So that's what Oakland will bring into the trophy case on their way to the Horizon League tournament starting tomorrow at 3 o'clock against Youngstown State. Here's to the Golden Grizzlies making it back to the championship game to stop just knocking on the door and kick it down by getting a championship this year in 2024. And in addition to that, while we're on the subject of hype and championships here, my Hoppers are going to get it done this season as well in the USPBL. So, with all of that, we appreciate your viewership here on the GioMoShow. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on social media, all of which in the description of the live stream here and of the podcast coming out soon on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the GioMoShow back here, new time, Tuesdays, 12 to 1 on WXOU. Giovanni Mosheri, out.